Good morning, podcast listeners. This is Ed Franklin with the Ed Franklin No Limits podcast. You can contact me at edfranklin.nolimits@gmail.com if you'd like to be a guest on my show or podcast, or if you know somebody that would be a great guest for the podcast that wants to advertise their company or their project, or they just want to have a live chat. That's fine with me. Again, edfranklin.nolimits. Make sure you're sharing my podcast as much as possible, and also follow me or subscribe to my page on YouTube, and you can see those there. Also on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, and I think pretty much wherever you get your podcast. But believe it or not, I promised you a podcast yesterday, and 4 failed attempts yesterday. The first 3 just sucked, and the last one right in the middle because of the weather. My internet connection went down, and as you probably know, I use Zoom as to record my videos so I can do these awesome backgrounds. And next week, I'm going to do a podcast about my family. Just interestingly, most people know me because I have 8 children and 7 daughters. And when you tell people that, they don't usually forget it. But I really never talk about my kids or raising them and how it was raising those kids and how we got to have 8 kids. I mean, besides the obvious, it's a blended marriage. So I think it'd be fun to talk about, and I won't mention any of my kids' names, won't call them out. Of course, if I talk about my son, since he's the only one you'll know, but I will explain why we won't talk about him that much. It's not because I don't love him or think he's awesome. Just I'll explain next week. So anyway, I had yesterday, it was freezing, first of all, in San Diego, and freezing to us, was 55 or 60 degrees. So if you're listening to this somewhere else, sorry about that. That's cold for us. And it was raining really hard. And like I said, we had some internet glitches, and it screwed up my my podcast. And I was actually a little bit confused yesterday with my podcast anyway, although I had some content. When you're putting together these podcasts, although they're easy to do the technical part of it, it does get a little daunting to come up with new content, although the basis of my podcast is really about 4 things. And as we talk to more people and I get different guests on, we'll expand those talks, and we'll expand the information I give, but they're still really relevant. And that is getting over limitations, which I'm having my own set of limitations right now. So we'll just see if I can walk the talk. Telling your story, which, I do that a lot. And part of next week, because of the holidays, people are kind of checking out. If I do one on my family, it'll be part of my story, of course. That self-esteem, probably it's never been worse in America, in all ages, because of COVID and what COVID's done. And not COVID's done, but it's what it's created, and it's people checking out and not being as engaged as possible. And of course, excuses, because we all make excuses. I'm a master excuse maker. I can get out of anything by making an excuse. So although those things are really still relative, and we're going to touch a little bit on that, but I just have some things that have been going on the last couple of weeks I wanted to bring up. And I want to tell you just a short little, I heard this story the other day, and I had heard it before. It was this father telling a son about a kid he knew that was really bad high school student. He didn't want to go to class, didn't want to do the work, didn't want to do anything like that. Somehow his mother talks him into taking the SATs, and he takes the SATs and scores a 1480, which is just incredible, like genius level on the SATs. I think I didn't take them, but I've been told. And it really makes the kid start thinking, man, I'm pretty smart. I mean, it really boosted his self-confidence and kind of gave him some more ideas of things that he wanted to do, that he was smart enough to do these things. So he goes, starts paying attention more at school, starts going to class, gets out of high school, goes to college, to a junior college, starts a business, kicks ass. 8 years down the road, he's just killing it, right, in his own business. And he gets this letter in the mail about the SATs that he had taken, 9 years previously or whatever. And it tells him about 20 or 30 of the tests that day were graded incorrectly. And he actually got a 700, which I think if you spell your name right, you get 400 points. So he really failed and didn't do very good with the SATs. The dad was telling the kid this story just to make the point that once that kid got that score and he believed in himself, it changed his whole life, right? It changed what his abilities were, what he thought his abilities were. And that's an important story, because when I'm talking to you on these podcasts, I will guarantee you, if I sat down with you, you're unsure about some things. You are holding on to some things from the past. You are unsure about the future in some levels. You might not be in a good relationship. You might have some other things that are going on. And that all has an effect on how we're feeling about ourselves and how we're going to push forward. And everybody goes through this. And I don't care what age you are. I still go through it. I still, sometimes feel like I was an imposter for years. Here I'm out applying for jobs, and all of a sudden I'm not qualified to do anything, when I was right there running companies and managing people and selling and doing all these things. And now I'm thinking, man, was I really that good at what I was doing? Because these people aren't responding to my resumes. I think resume is the biggest piece of crap tool we use out there, because to ask somebody to articulate their life in business in one page, and really not even a page, because you break it up so much with different jobs and everything, you're actually doing it in sentences. And obviously sorry about that. Obviously a kid at 25 years old is going to have much less experience than I am. And that's because I'm not 25. So as I send these things out, you do start to think about, Jesus, am I horrible at what I know and but then when I start talking to people, I'm articulating what I believe and what I've learned and things like this, they're going, yeah, and you're right, and that's the way it is. Then it kind of gets me back. Unfortunately, this morning I had a little meeting with Linda Newman, the owner of Brilliant Marketing Ideas, and I got a chance to just talk to her. I was kind of bleeding out, kind of whining to her, I guess, at some level, but it got me to start thinking about, no, I'm legit. The things that I have done in the past, have I always been good at everything I did? No, I'm not. But I was very good at a lot of things that I put on my resume, and that, jobs that I'm looking for, I was very good at. So I guess, when you start to get that different perspective, it starts changing your life. So I was thinking about, I get encouraged a lot, you should do life coaching, you should do this. And I don't know. I've thought about it. Most of the life coaches I know are not good life coaches. I know a few that are awesome. I know most of them are not. It's something they turn to because it was easy for them to do. A lot of ex-salespeople do that. They figure they can coach people. And if I said life coach or sales coach or whatever, life coaches to me is somebody that's going to address every part of your life. Because I got news for you. If you're out of shape and you're, not feeling good every day, and that's going to affect your business. If you're not doing a great job at business, it's going to affect other parts of your life. So if you're talking about a life coach, they need to address several different things in your life. You can have, 9 out of 10 great things checked off in your life, but that 10th thing could be screwing up those other 9, believe me. So you got to get everything in order. And I know it's hard. No doubt about it. It's fucking hard to do, but you have to try to work on getting those things and compartmentalize your thinking. And, when you're at the gym, be at the gym. When you're doing work, be at work. When you're dealing with your kids, be in that moment. Sometimes we let those things cross over and it messes up everything. So I go on Google, I put in life coaches, and I get 3,850,000 results on life coaches. So it tells me two things. Either there's just a lot of life coaches, kind of like realtors out there not doing much, or they're all working and we're all screwed up. Because if you need that many life coaches in America or in the world, that's crazy. It just seems like a great abundance. But even worse, I was on a meet call this week with a company that I might be aligning with that helps do sales DNA tests, kind of figure out if the person you're hiring is a salesperson, where they're lacking, where they're shine, things like that. Do we ever ask that question? We hire a sales guy because we like him and we think he can go out and make the calls, but is he good at all the things we need him to be good at? Is it a product that needs to be cold called? Is it a product that needs to be phone called? Is it a service or product that needs, a consultative type sale? Or is it a sale that, happens once and it's never going to happen again? All these things we need to talk about. So I went on and I looked at sales coaches on Google, And surprisingly enough, I got 47,200,000. Think of that for a second. 47,200,000 sales coaches out there. And if you ask me, sales is one of the easiest jobs in the world. In this respect, it's really about, a few things: finding out what your customers' issues are, showing them value in the product. And I think a lot of times, this is kind of harsh to say, but there's times when sometimes you don't have a good product. There's times when your food doesn't taste good at a restaurant, or the service is bad, or the thing. And I'm not sure we always address those things. We just consider that we're all on the same playing field, and that we're just either we either have shitty salespeople or whatever. But sometimes the product sucks. Sometimes the service is bad on an operations side of things. And as I'm looking for jobs, I'm getting Indeed and LinkedIn and Monster, and I get these definitions for jobs. I'm kind of finding that a lot of companies don't even know what they want. Of course, they all want to increase sales. They all want to do this and that. And I think they're missing a huge step in figuring out exactly what they want in a in a sales manager, salesperson, vice president of sales. It's not just about raising sales. It's about making the process work. And sometimes the process doesn't work and it kills your sales. And you could have a fantastic product. So, COVID has been hard on me in a extrovert way, because prior to COVID, I was very used to 2, 3, 4, 5 times a week being in a group of people, either selling my product, promoting the chamber, doing whatever I was doing with those people. And since COVID, obviously, I have not been able to go out and meet people as much. We've had to, cut back on how much often we go to the store. We've had to cut. And here today, it's the 15th today, and we're back into wearing masks inside again. One of the reasons I stopped going to the gym, and now we're going to the gym today. And I'm going with a mask on, I guess, because it'll be their mandate, and I don't have time to argue with them. I just need to get a legwork at it. So it's really affected me in a lot of ways, and I've learned a lot about people. And the bad news is I've learned some things about people I don't really like. I think that people have been disengaged, and they're kind of waiting to see what's going to happen. And through that, they've stopped contacting me. They've stopped responding to me. And look, it could be because I'm a jerk. I don't know. Maybe that's the reason. They just think, I don't like Ed, so I'm not going to. I mean, if I knew that, if they didn't like me, I wouldn't bother them. I would never, but I don't think that's the case, but it could be. But what I'm really seeing, even with on the marketing side of things, on affiliate marketing, is people just decided to kind of stop and wait to see what's going to happen. And I got to tell you, I think it's the dumbest thing you could do in business. I think it's, the last places I would ever cut when I was doing business is I would stop cutting. I would not cut my marketing. I would not cut my sales. Those are the people and the things that keep you out there. And I told you my opinion on marketing and sales is they're two different jobs. Marketing is very much about credibility, and sales is about showing that value and learning about your customer. Now, when I started this podcast, I did not want it to be about business. The thing is because there's 47,200,000 sales coaches and 3,850,000 hits on life coaches, it's exactly what I didn't want to do. I did not want to get into that arena for a lot of different reasons. One, most of it's people's opinion, mine included, and they're not always right. Depends on the company, depends on the business. And for me to take a guy and say, or a guy or girl and say, look, this is how you should sell, and it's not a cookie cutter thing either. There's a lot to do with your personality, how you approach things, the product, the company, things like that. The reason I bring up business a lot is because I'm involved in it, and it's a great metaphor for life too. I just said that I didn't think that a lot of companies know what they want in life or what they want out of a salesman. Let me ask you this question. Why don't you look in the mirror and tell me what you want out of your life? What do you want to look like? What do you want to be like? How much money do you want to make? What kind of car do you want to drive? I get a lot of people that will say, yeah, these sales guys come on and they sell Lamborghinis and, they're renting them, and it's not what, well, some people want a Lamborghini. I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's what you want to spend your hard-earned money on. Spend your money on that. If you want to rent it, buy it, blow it up. I don't care what you do to it. it's not about necessarily about their ego. You can call it that or whatever. I would love to drive a supercar. I mean, I just think it'd be so cool to drive it. Is it because I want people to look at me? Yeah, why not? Is it because I want to drive a bitchin' car? Yes, it's that too. I have some things that if you came over to my house and looked at them, you would not like. You might want to buy something else or think that I'm cheap or whatever the case may be. There's other things that you would not buy that I have that you would just think that are a waste of money. And I get that. That's okay. That's why we all want different things in life. But like I said, this business is very, very parallel to life. I mean, you find out what you want. And you go after it. And those are those limitations. And you find out, look, man, this is really limiting me. Look, if you want to run marathons and you're 290 pounds, I'm not saying you can't run a marathon at 290, but you'd probably be better at 190. I mean, I'm just using that as an example. There's a lot of things. If you want to be a fitness model, but you look like me, probably not a good idea. Probably time to go to the gym, eat, change your diet, things like that. If you want to write books, what's holding you back? If you want to do a podcast, what's holding you back? If you want to do anything in life, and here I am trying to tell youth, younger people, that you can do anything you want in life, and we're not doing it. We're looking back going, no, I've had my opportunity, I'm done. Bullshit. I just told somebody that I'm way too old. I mean, I'm not young enough to be this old. How did I say that? I'm too young to be this old, right? Year wise, I'm X amount, but mind wise, body wise, and all those other things, I'm still way back there. That's how I want to be. That's the life I want to be in. I don't want to be an old man, even though I am. I don't want to act that way. I don't want to do those things on a regular basis. I keep getting these things from AARP, which I guess I could have joined 5 years ago and I might get a discount on coffee somewhere, but it's just not in my DNA. I just don't want to sit still. I want to go to the gym. I want to work out with, 25-year-olds instead of 95-year-olds. Going back to the gym has been great for me because I haven't lost a lot of strength. I'm getting back into it as hard and as fast as I used to, and it feels really good. I don't feel like my body's any older, although it is, but that's just what it is. So I guess the next question is, how far have we come in a year? I mean, here we are. Next week is Christmas, for God's sakes. I can't believe, that another year has gone by and we're still messing with COVID, which I wasn't a genius to think about this, but I knew it was going to last 2 or 3 years. Stuff that doesn't go away like that. And whether you're a vaxxer, anti-vaxxer, don't believe it's happening, it's a conspiracy, whatever, it's here and we're dealing with it. And when you go into a store and you can't go in without a mask, it's just what it is. It's just what it is. If you want to protest, don't care. Just don't block the traffic. Nobody will get through. So what does 2022 look like at this point? It has to look different for me, and I have to make it look different. I have to get up every morning on fire and do whatever I have to do. Does it need to look different for you? Is it a retirement year? Is it, what do you want it to be? Do you want to try something new? I'm telling you, you get that right mentality. You get that SAT mentality where you get a 1480 in your SATs and you can do anything you want. It's so much to do with your mind, so much to do what you believe in yourself. And you will figure out ways. I've said this before. If you ask what if in your life enough times, your mind will physically answer you. And, what if I was rich? What if I had more money? What if I could do this? What if I could do that? You keep asking yourself and asking yourself, and your mind will answer you. Now, got to be careful with that too, because you don't want to be, like we talked about in the storytelling, you don't want to be talking, telling the wrong story or telling the negative story. You want to be telling that positive story as much as you can. So ask for those, what if I was wealthy and I could afford to help out a charity or whatever the question is. I know a lot of this is redundant, and I tell you, it's not going to get less redundant. I'm teaming up with a couple other companies that we're going to hopefully use my podcast, and these things will keep coming out. The reason they're redundant is because you're not doing them, and neither am I all the time. And you got to keep it top of mind. I was asked by a customer last night, a potential customer, about items that I think they could use for their company to support it and to get business. And I said, look, it's very important to buy something that people are going to use, that they're going to keep, that they're going to use on a regular basis, to see that logo every second. When you talk about Apple and GE and Chevy and Ford and all these people, they're constantly advertising. These are multi-billion-dollar companies, and they're still advertising. Don't you think you would, don't you think you'd never forget them? Yeah, you would forget them because there's always another company out there that wants to, sell you the next widget, the next nice car, nice truck, nice phone. Apple is closing in on being a $3 trillion company. They're still advertising. They're still branding themselves. They're still out there coming up with new things. They still have marketing companies that come in and help them brand their product. So why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you brand yourself? Why wouldn't you be out there telling people that you're a musician or a singer or, a motivational speaker or whatever? Why wouldn't you be out there telling people to brand yourself, to keep that top of mind? I try to put my logo, my EF logo, on everything I have. And I'm getting to where, I'm actually wearing a shirt from another company I work for, but there's my logo right there. And I try to wear that logo all the time because people ask, I can tell them. Sometimes I tell them before they ask. It's so important. But, with all that being said, it's important that you stay top of mind to yourself. I mean, if you want to be a bodybuilder and you're only going to the gym, once a month, and you're not eating the right things, you've got to start becoming that person, right? You got to start eating that food that bodybuilders eat. You got to start putting in that time in the gym. If you want to be a writer, you got to start writing a lot. You need to become top of mind for yourself too. You need to be thinking of this when you're laying in bed before you go to sleep and thinking about it when you wake up. Let me tell you, everybody I know that's got a real successful small business eats, drinks, and sleeps their business because they have to. They have to stay top of mind. They have to be always, always talking. Tony Robbins used to have this thing, CANI, constant, never-ending improvement. He used to call it CANI, and that's an important thing. Are you reading books? Are you taking classes? Are you doing anything like that? It's all important. And it sounds selfish, but it really isn't. You can't help anybody else in your life if you're not succeeding. So it's really about what you can do for other people once you become successful. And I don't think the success has ever ended. And hate him or whatever you think about this. I just forgot his name. That's how much he means to me. The Tesla guy. He's always coming up with something new. He's always coming up with something new. Bill Gates, always coming up with something new. I don't care if you hate him or whatever, you still can't take away the fact that he started and built this huge company. So, as small of a scale as we are in our own personal circle, we need to, it's like this podcast that I don't have 1/1,000,000th of the customers, the listeners that I want, but I know I got to keep doing it. The more I do it, the more it gets out there, the more guests I can get on here, the more relevance that comes up, the more relevant topics that come up, the more stuff I do in my life outside of here, the more I can do, the more popular this show will get. And I tell them, I'm not backing out on this thing. It's one of my favorite things I've ever done in my life, and I want to keep doing it. It's just going to take that one guest or 10 guests or that one topic or whatever to get you guys to share this podcast, and that's what I'll keep doing. It might take a better camera. I just ordered a new camera, by the way. I just got a new camera. It looks good. It's just all those things. It's that constant thing. And I know when you listen to this, if you're driving, you're like, Jesus Christ, Ed's on this thing again. You're right. I am on this thing again. And I'm going to stay on this thing. I'm not going to back down. I'm going to continue to tell you that you can get over these limitations. And I want to help you with those. That's why if you send me an email, I'd be glad to try to help you with that. You can be, without me mentioning your name, you can be a case study for me. If you want to do me a favor, come tell me your problems. Let's get over them together. I am going to be redundant. I'm going to keep pounding on you about telling the story and because this stuff works. It does work, and it will get you where you want to be. But if you're constantly giving up and starting and stopping and starting and stopping, it's going to weigh on you, and you're going to have problems. So I know that's not a super long. It's funny. I was talking to somebody the other day. They said, I want to listen to your podcast. And I told them where it was to listen to. And they said, I hope it's not like an hour. And I said, well, it's not. Usually they're 30 to 45 minutes. Once in a while, I'll get close to an hour if I have a guest. But I said, you can listen to it in 2 pieces too. Or, just listen to what you want, then stop listening, whatever you want to do. So I think sometimes these shorter videos are going to be better listened to. I'm getting on TikTok. I'm going to start doing videos. If you're not on TikTok, get on TikTok. And it's edfranklin.nolimits on TikTok. And follow me. That helps me. Anytime you can follow my Facebook page, same thing, edfranklin.nolimits. Follow me on LinkedIn. Anywhere you can follow me helps me. Share. I probably had a lot more to talk about. I actually did have a lot more to talk about, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to try to have, like I said, talk about my family next week on my podcast and just kind of give you some insights about how it was raising all these kids in this beautiful town we live in San Diego. And I live in Poway where I raise the kids. I think there's some good news to that. There's some bad news to it. I think there'll be some humor. I think there'll be some sadness. But that's life, right? It's got all kinds of different mixes. But and then I want to try to come up with a really good potent after Christmas, before New Year's, get you guys fired up for the new year. I'd like to tell you it's going to be awesome. We say that every year. That's up to you, right? That's up to you and me to make our year awesome. We can get involved in all this horse shit, or we can just, stay focused on what we're doing and do our best. You cannot control 90% of the things that are going on in your life, but what you can control, you need to control all the time. So thank you again. I will say to you, if I don't get a chance to tell you next week, if you don't listen to my podcast, have the very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. I'm not very well versed on other religions, so I will say Merry Christmas to you. I hope that you're safe. I hope that you're warm. I hope that the new year brings you everything you want. I hope I'm part of that. So keep listening, keep sharing. And I told you guys before, I really do love you guys. I love the fact that I know you know something I don't know, and I'd love to learn what you know and help other people out there any way I can. So Merry Christmas to you. I will talk to you next week and the week after and the week after, and I'm not going away, so you might as well listen and share. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you all soon.